Welcome to Distractible, with your hosts, Mark, Bob, and Wade. This week is Bob's Fridge. Enjoy the show.
So we're excited about this new fridge.
Yeah, good.
So it was supposed to be delivered 9 days ago, and I bought it like 2 weeks ago now. They took my money happily, and they were like, yeah, we'll give you a fridge. And I was like, okay, and left like an idiot.
Did you get to pick it out, or did they just tell you they'd bring you one?
Yeah, no, I told them which one I wanted, and they were like, sure, silver one, got it.
Oh, okay, good.
We'll send it right over.
Yeah.
So the initial delivery is scheduled. They show up and they assess the house. Our front door is real big, but there's a little door that goes in the kitchen that you can't bring the fridge through. So he looks at the garage, and finally he decides, okay, we got to drag this thing. We have a big back sliding door. We got to drag this thing around the side of the house through the side yard and then in the back door. That's the way it'll fit easiest. And so we have two side yards because I'm filthy rich. Not a one side yard house. We got two whole side yards. And they decide to go through the really narrow one, which becomes an issue later, which we'll get to. And so they go through this whole thing that I don't know what appliances, what happens to them, but they're packed like if outside air touches them, they will combust.
What?
Appliances are, I don't know if you guys have ever seen a brand new appliance. It comes in a full like plastic wrap, like fully vinyl wrapped. And then there's like foam padding on the corners and above that. And then there's another layer of like strapped on padding or cardboard. And then there's another layer of like a wrapping around that. And then there's a box around that. Once they decide they're going to bring it through the smaller side yard, the narrow side yard, I look at it and I'm like, I don't think that's going to fit, guys. And he looks at it and he measures it and he's like, no, it'll fit. And I'm standing there and I'm like, I really don't think that's going to fit. But like, this is their job. It's fine. Just do what you're going to do. Which again, like an idiot, I assumed that they would know how to do their job. And so they start dragging it. They bring it up the driveway. They start trying to get it through the gate. There's like a gate that swings open. And the gate is swung all the way open up against the gas meter. The gas meter is behind the gate. And you hope, like, ideally they'd like slide it right through. It fits and they keep going, right? They get it up and it does that thing where they try to move it through and it just goes bonk. And it's like, oh, whoa. Hey, whoa. And like the delicate parts are all still wrapped. So it's still like padded, but I just see like, it's not quite going to fit. Like it's like an inch too big.
Yeah.
And the guys are there and they're like, no, it's going to fit. And it goes from the soft dunk to like they're finagling it. The way it goes through the gate, the back of the fridge is scraped up the whole gate. Each little step they're taking, the fridge on the fence is just like and I'm standing here watching, just like okay. And like it finally it gets through, and I look at it. There's no damage. Everything's fine. It was just sort of rubbing on the gate. I think it was fine, but so this is how it starts. And they get it through. They get all the way to the backyard before they're about to bring it inside the house. And I look at the front of it, and there's a huge dent. Oh. It's not huge. Okay, maybe it's a 2-inch-ish around dent. But I look at it and I'm like, that's a dent. And the guy does that thing where he looks and he's like, oh, it's not a dent. These things are padded. It's fine. And I like touch it. And I'm like, no, dude, that's a dent. It's clearly a dent. And he like licks his thumb and rubs it and like, now that'll buff out.
Oh, perfect. Yeah, what a method.
And finally I convinced the dude. I'm like, it's a dent. And he's like, well, do you want us to install it or not? I'm like, no, I don't want a brand new refrigerator I just paid a shit ton of money for to have a dent on it. Like, I want a new one out of the box. I paid a lot of money for this fucking thing. And like he does that thing that like, and I've totally been there. I've worked jobs like this. He does that, gives me that look when I'm like, no, I don't, take it back. Like, I don't want it. Fix this. He's like, okay, we can fix it. In a more respectful tone, he says whatever he says, but his eyes are saying that, you know, he looks right at me and his head flops over and he's just like, yeah, fine, we'll put it back on the truck. Thanks. And man, did they not give a fuck about that fridge once it was damaged. So how it barely fit through the gate the first time. On the way out, they were just like, gosh, someone get it out. Fuck, get out of here. Like, man, I thought they damaged my gate. Like, Jesus. And they got it out of there and they were just like, well, take it back and they'll call you. And they drove off in a huff. And I thought that was that. Now, let me say, this is going to be the end of Act 1. These guys did a great job compared to the second group of delivery people. Like, I miss them.
Oh, no.
I wish they would have been the guys who delivered the fridge today, because of course this happened this morning, because of course it did. I long for their great handling of everything that occurred. But yeah, so they're gone, and you think like, okay, that exchange is over, right? So Mandy and I wake up the next morning. The house was like completely unheated. Nothing at all. That's weird. I look at the thermostat. Thermostat says it's on. Went to like take a shower, use the sinks. No hot water at all. And we're just like, what the fuck? That's so weird. None of the natural gas things in our house were working. Somehow our gas line had been damaged. And of course, right away, Mandy was like, well, those delivery guys were here yesterday. Did they do something? Look at like the gate area. Like those guys had to have done something. And I went and I looked and like, it's not obviously damaged. And I smell, there's no like gas leaking or whatever. It doesn't seem bad, but clearly it's not working. Apparently in California, on a lot of gas meters, as a safety precaution, they put something on there that's called an earthquake detector. And if it detects a rumble, if it detects a shaking, it shuts off the gas to the entire house. And I guess it's sensitive enough that two guys slamming a heavy wooden gate into it and a couple 100-pound fridge into it was enough that it was like, nope, no more gas, shutting that down.
They delivered a fridge so violently your house thought it was an earthquake?
Yes.
All right, cool. Just wanted clarity.
And this was the good team.
Yeah, they did a great job. I love those guys.
Okay. All right. Just check it off my notes here. Got it. All right.
So, okay. And so finally we get that resolved after like a day of me. I had like called an HVAC company and was like, you guys gotta fix this. And they were like, okay, we can have a guy there in a week. And I was like, what? I just told you we don't have natural gas. It's like 50 degrees outside. Like, can you hurry up a little? Does anyone, volunteer to give me a spot in line or something? And she's like, no, we'll see you in a week. And that was the best solution I had until we figured out the whole thing. Okay, so this middle act is kind of quiet, right? So the natural gas thing happened. And then there's a whole week where every day I'm calling the store to be like, hey, you guys tried to deliver us a fridge and it was dented and like you took it back. Like, when do we get the next one? Like, when can we get an idea? I spent an hour and 17 minutes on the phone to the store. I went back and looked because I was shocked, and I never spoke to a human a single time. I was calling a specific department where there's supposed to be a person. I called 11 times over the entire course of a day. Every time I had a spare 5 minutes, I'd call and be like, maybe I'll get someone now. And I didn't talk to a person the whole day. And their phone loop goes, you call an automated system, ask who you want to connect to. The phone rings in the department you call for a solid 5 minutes. Then you're connected back to the automated service who just does the exact same shit and reconnects you to the same phone that rings for another 5 minutes. And then after you do that a third time, when the phone stops ringing, it just goes boop and hangs up. And that's it.
Do you think they've got like a system in place where they saw who was calling? It's like the delivery guy put a note on your file and it was like dented fridge guy. And they're like, don't take that one. We're not taking that call.
I don't know, man.
I would love for that to be the case. I mean, just with everything these days, it's exactly that. And it was like me trying to call my pharmacy for a prescription I needed. But I just need to talk to my pharmacist about a prescription. And it's the same thing. Loop through to the pharmacy. It rings, goes back to the machine. It goes back to the department, rings 3 times, and then the same boot. I know that boot. Boop, boop, boop. Done. The same thing.
I get that, like, if you're not reaching someone, there has to be like an endpoint. They don't just want you to infinitely. But God, like, get an answering machine or something. Like, fuck, Seinfeld had an answering machine.
Yeah, it did. That's true.
How does Lowe's not have an answering machine? Even if you don't check it.
I always feel like people exaggerate when they say how long they deal with these automated systems, but I know I've been in this exact same boat. It is just a fact of life that if you have to call a business, expect to have 3 hours of your day just
Aren't
gone.
they supposed to save time? That's what I don't get. They're supposed to save time.
Their time, not ours.
Not your time.
Oh,
It saves time because no one on the other end has to even answer it. You get so frustrated, you give up, and they're like, thank God, we didn't have to talk to that person.
In the olden days, God, am I fucking old? Like,
Get off my lawn.
Just like when there was music playing, at least you had something to listen to, and you knew you were waiting, and you could put it on speakerphone and back that. You didn't have to go rush over like, the pharmacy! I want to talk to the pharmacy! Did you hear me? Pharmacy!
I reached that point. I hope they record that with the automated system. system. The first time I'm like, yeah, I'm trying to reach like appliances. And then they'd be like, connecting you to appliances. And like the sixth time I was like, fucking appliances. And she was like, connecting you to appliances.
Can you imagine if like 911 had an automated system like that?
For class 1 emergencies, press 1. For class 2 emergencies, press 2. Stay on the line if this is a major emergency. What's your problem? I'm bleeding! Boop, 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 boop. Connecting you to. For bleeding, try calling 911 and your extension will be 67942.
Have you guys ever experienced this? There are a couple places, I think Lexi's vet and somewhere else that I call have like the same hold system. They have the same music. And I always get put on hold when I have to talk to these people. And literally it's like in my head, like, like, and every time it comes on, my brain is just like, drama. God, like at least get a playlist. How hard is it to get like 10 songs and have a playlist for your hold music? It's the same 2.5 minute long shit, and it's the same song the whole time. There's not even like a difference. There's like 2 sections. There's an A and a B. And they're not even that different.
Yeah, I'm like, they're like, we'll play some relaxing music, and it's at max volume.
Yeah, and then the person that answers the phone is like whispering, and you can't hear them at all because you've been listening to blaring music for half an hour.
You have the music on, and you turn it way down, and then a person gets on, they're like, hello, thanks for calling. And you're like, fuck, God damn it. A fucking headache from your 38,000 decibel hold music.
And they're either so pleasant it makes you more mad because you've been waiting so long, or they're just like so nonchalant. Like there's no in between. They're either way too nice or way too apathetic. There's no in between.
Yeah, I once called when they had, you know how we value your call, but it was someone at the place that recorded that, so they picked up the phone like,
We value your call. Please keep waiting.
like legitimately, like they just stopped mid-bite to say this.
As the phone is ringing for like 5 minutes, in the middle of that, there's a computer voice that comes on and is like, we really value your call. We're trying our best to answer it. And then it goes back to ringing.
I would love if all these different companies recorded like all of that so we could just hear playback of everyone getting so fed the fuck up with waiting that we just hear them like,
yeah, you value my fucking call, but I value my foot up your ass, stupid computer.
Okay, so there are multiple days of that. Suffice it to say, finally, we learn that we're going to get a refrigerator. Last night, they sent me a message that was like, expect your delivery between 11 a.m. and 3 p.m. tomorrow. And I was like, okay, that's a 4-hour window. So it'll probably come at the least convenient part, but like, I'll set that window aside. That'll be fine. And this morning, I was literally on a call with you guys and my phone starts ringing and it's like a local number, which I know means it's the delivery guys. An hour and 40 minutes before they're supposed to be at my house. It's the delivery guys. And I pick it up and he's like, we'll be there in 10 minutes. And I'm like, why did the system tell me 11 to 3 then? And he's like, I don't know, sir. We're on our way. And I'm like, this is incredibly inconvenient. Can you come at the time that you're scheduled? And he was like, nope, we're on our way. And I literally, to you guys, I was like, okay, I gotta go, I guess. We'll do this later, right? Okay, bye. So that's how it starts. And they show up and the guy, of course, I mean, I'm sure customers all the time try and tell these dudes like, oh, this is the deal. Here's what you should do. And they're like, no. I know what I need to do. He gets there and I'm like, okay, so we already tried to deliver this. You guys can't come in through the front. There's a door that it won't fit through. So you kind of have to go around back. I'll show you. And he's like, what do you mean we can't come in through the front? And I'm like, I mean, we've been here. Literally, I did this 9 days ago. I'm just saving you some time. It won't fit. And he's like, nah, let me measure it. And like, fine. But also, like, fuck you. Like, goddamn. So he comes in and he looks and he measures the little door into the kitchen. He looks at me, he's like, oh, yeah, it's definitely not going to fit through here. And I look at him and I'm like, do you want to see the side yard? This has already been over a week of me being pissed at these people for not communicating and being pissed at the first guys for the gas line thing. I'm not being rude, but I'm already on this fuse of like, just put it in. Just give us the fridge and get out of here. I'm busy. And so I show him the side yard. I don't know how to take care of a yard yet. It's just grass, right? It's grass, tall grass. And he's like, oh, I hope we can get through here. As we're casually strolling through this 3-foot tall, dead, thin grass. He's like, I don't know, can you trim this? And I was like, well, I thought I had an hour and a half before you were going to be here. That was on my list. It's too late now. But yes, he makes every fucking thing that happens. This dude is like, oh, God, I don't know. And I'm like, just bring the fridge. So I open the gate to the side thing, and they brave the jungle that is our side yard. After they spend 20 minutes, they come and they drag it around. And so we have a fridge in there, and it already has a water line because it has an ice maker. And so you have to take it out to put the new one in. You have to pull it out. You have to undo the water line. There's supposed to be some kind of shutoff. These guys cannot find the shutoff to the water line. And he looks at me and he's like, do you know how to do this? And I'm like, I don't know. Is it my fucking job to install a refrigerator? I don't think so. And like, he looks at me, he's like, there should be a shutoff. You should know where that is. I'm like, bro, I just fucking bought this house. Why would I know anything about that? I didn't install it. And he was like, can you call the previous homeowner? Like, yeah, let me call her up. We're buddies. I bought her house and now we get dinner every 2 weeks. Obviously. God. So his solution, his brilliant solution is he just unhooks the water and the water is just like spray, and he just kinks the line real quick. Like he unhooks it and he knows it's not shut off, and he's all surprised that water starts spraying everywhere. And so he just kinks the line, and I'm like, okay, well, just hold the line kinked and that'll be fine. And he holds it up to me and is like, I'm gonna need you to hold this so we can finish. And I'm like, you know what? Fine. I'm not gonna make a joke about this or be angry. Fine. Do this, get that fucking thing out of here, bring the other one in here, plug in the whatever, let's do this. And so I'm standing in my own kitchen holding a water line with a bucket under it because it's even kinked off. It's still dripping, right? So I'm holding a little bucket to make sure we don't get any water everywhere. They bring the old one out. There's a front window in the kitchen, so I can see them go out to the front where their truck is and they're doing stuff. And so I know they're like on the way. I kind of see what they're making progress. Yeah. And I'm just standing there with the stupid kinked hose that I can't leave. And I just hear from the backyard, like, kerchink, whoosh, and then one guy goes, oh shit, and they just start rushing around, and I'm just standing here like, I can't go look. I don't know what's happening. It sounds like water is leaking. I have no idea where that would be coming from. They don't come in. They don't come ask me anything or like do anything so that I can help. They're just rushing around back there like, oh, but what if you did that? Like I can kind of hear what they're doing. And Mandy is like working. Like it's the middle of a Friday. Mandy is busy working, so I can't just be like, hey, come help. I stand there for maybe 10 or 15 minutes before I finally text Mandy and I'm like, I know you're busy, but some fucking terrible thing is happening. Like, please, you come just hold this so I can try and like help these idiots. I walk out there and there's water is erupting up out of the ground like a geyser has started gushing. I don't know what has happened. Apparently, what genius number 2 did is they had the fridge on a dolly wideways, right? So it's the widest way it could be to drag it around. And there was a bush. They were trying to drag it through this little path that's like, it's like a sidewalk width. It's not a wide path, but it's wide enough if the refrigerator was sideways, it probably would have fit right through. They were going to drag it through wideways and apparently just fucking destroy this bush. But also apparently inside this bush is a PVC pipe coming out of the ground that's part of like the irrigation system. He just sees the bush and is like, fuck that bush. What he did was he dragged the fridge right through the bush and snapped off the fucking PVC pipe. And there's just a geyser of water coming up out of the ground. And what they were doing when I went out there, which is apparently what they had been doing the whole 10 minutes, is one of them was standing there staring, like thinking, and the other one had the broken off PVC pipe. It was trying to like jam it back on, like it was just gonna slip right back on. And like they looked over at me and were like he might as well. I don't remember what he said because the rage started boiling at this point inside of me. But he looked over at me and like blankly looked at me and gestured at the water and looked at the water and looked back at me like I'm gonna fucking fix it. Like I magically know what the hell is happening and how to fix this. Taking cleansing breaths, clenching my fists a little too hard, digging my nails into my palms, kind of hurts. Oh, Okay. God. Yeah. So like literally they did this. And the one guy who, apparently the guy who was standing there watching is the one who did it. And he looked at me and he was like, I can't believe that pipe was in there. It was hidden in there. And it's an accident, you know? And like, I wish I had said this, but it's not like it's not grass. It's not a flower or something you could like, ooh, push it over and scoot. It's a big fucking bush. To get the thing through where he got it through, he literally had to pull it up to that gap and it stopped. And he was like, ooh, this bush is in the way. And he was just like, no, it's not. Let's go. God. Oh. Oh. I don't know what led them to that action, but there's no version of that that's not just so fucking stupid that it makes me unbelievably angry. Even right now, and this has just happened a few hours ago now. I'm still so mad. Oh. Okay.
God, no, it's not.
I don't know, man. Like, I couldn't even. And so this leads to a whole series of, like, finally, I'm like, we need to shut the water off to the house, you fucking idiots. Like, you're not going to wedge that pipe back on there. It's snapped off, doesn't fit back on. There's no super glue. There's no flex tape. We got to turn the water off to the whole house. And so the guy who seemed to be in charge of this was like, right, the water main. And he handed me the pipe and was like, hold this on there. Like that was going to do something. Like he was holding it on there. And you know, when you have a hose and you put your thumb over it and the water sprays out, that's what he was doing. He was not keeping any water inside of anything. He was just holding this pipe down and spraying water fucking everywhere. And he was like, you hold this, I'll go do the, and I like took it from him and I did it for a minute, but I was standing there like, this isn't doing anything. Like as I was doing it, I was like, he said, hold it. I'm going to hold. Why would I hold this? What is this doing? And eventually I just set it down and walk out front. And he's like on the street. Each house has like a line that comes off that main line that goes into the house. And so down where that connection is, where like your water meter might be, there's usually like a master shutoff, like a main thing. But also, I didn't know this. Apparently, there's a main water shutoff inside the house. And so the one down by the street was like really difficult. It wouldn't budge. It was like seized up. This house was built in the 70s. It's fairly old. And so this pipe has been down here for a long time. And this dude is just like wanging away on it with a wrench and sprayed it with WD-40, and he's asking me if I have tools, which, like, I get that it's not part of his job to have to shut off the main water to a house, but these dudes literally were looking at me like I was their boss. Every step of the way, they were like, it's not turning. Both turn and look at me, what do we do? And I'm standing here like, this doesn't seem like how you install a fridge. I don't know. I have different expectations. I'm as confused as you are. More probably. And so eventually, like, I'm sitting here Googling on my phone. Dummy number 1 and dummy number 2 are like hitting the pipe with a wrench, doing nothing, looking at each other. Nothing. Eventually, I'm Googling and I find some stuff that's like, there should be an outdoor shutoff and there should be an indoor shutoff. And I go start looking around my house frantically for any sort of valve I can shut off. Finally, after a solid half hour of water fucking destroying my backyard, flooding our patio. By the way, they left the brand new fridge that they had bragged back there. He got it a full 3 feet away from the water explosion before he set the fridge down and was like, let me fix this. So this fridge is literally sitting in a muddy puddle getting sprayed with water for half an hour. Which, to be fair, I did not think of either, but I'm out here like my mind is exploding with rage that these guys just fucking broke because it's not fixed still. So finally, I turn the water off and everything calms down for a second. And I look at these guys and they look pretty shaken because, like, sure, what did they just do? And I look at them and I'm like, okay, so how do we fix this? Like, do you have a plumber that you call? You call your boss? Like, you did this. How do you fix this? And he looks at me and he's like, you're going to have to talk to Lowe's about that. Apparently, these fucking guys don't even work for Lowe's. They work for a third-party company that Lowe's contracts to deliver. And I'm like, at this point, everything's calming down a little. I'm still so mad that I'm like, they looked like they were a little scared of me because my face was not pleasant. But I'm like, okay, I'm going to call Lowe's. You guys go do the fucking thing, put the fridge in there. I'm going to call Lowe's. I call, and my first thought is, okay, I'm going to get into the infinite loop of no one's going to answer, right? Because I just did this for a whole week. I call, and miraculously, a human answers the phone. And I explain, like, hey, your guys are here delivering a fridge. They ripped a thing out of the ground and flooded my backyard, and there's an active water leak. How do we fix this? And they said I should contact you. And he's like, yeah, just 1 second. And puts me on hold right away. Like, doesn't even let me respond. So I'm on hold for a couple minutes. Comes back. He's like, okay, I talked to my manager. So what we have to do is you give me your information, like your name and your address and whatever, and we will initiate contact with the company that we contracted to do the delivery. And in my mind, I'm like, wait. I'm talking to the guys who work for the company who just damaged my house, and they said I should talk to you. So the process is they direct me to you, who make contact with them on my behalf. It's a whole thing. At this point, I'm like, all the water is off to our entire house, right? Sinks don't work, no running water whatsoever. Hopefully this will be fixed fast, like tomorrow, maybe today if we're lucky. And the guy's like, yeah. So we'll make contact, and then within 24 to 48 hours, they will reach out to you and start the process of getting it scheduled to get this fixed. And I'm like, okay, you understand, the water is off to my entire house right now. It's not acceptable that maybe within 48 hours, maybe we can start the process of maybe getting this fixed. And the guy's like, that's the process. This is the process. And I literally, this is a point where I start to lose it. Like, I'm super cordial. I've been a delivery driver. I've worked in food service. I know what it's like when people are totally shitty to you and you have to try and maintain, decorum. You have to try and be professional. Mm-hmm. So even when people are terrible to me, I'm always like, oh, I appreciate that. Like, try and be nice. And I say to this dude, like, what the fuck do you mean? This is you hear me, right? Your company just damaged my house, unrelated to what you're doing. I start swearing at this dude. I start saying, like, what the fuck? Like, my shit is broken right now. My fucking house doesn't have water. And he literally, I think I broke him a little. And he literally pauses and is like, do you not want to do this process? Because this is the only process. And like, I almost fucking threw my phone. And I get that this one random dude at the store is not going to fix my problem. But holy fuck, I almost yeeted my cell phone into space because and so I go through the whole thing. Apparently, we're fucked at this point, right? We're just not going to have water for God knows how long, up to 2 days at minimum. In the back of my mind, I'm like, there's no way this is how this is resolved. This is completely unacceptable. But I know if I just call an emergency plumber myself and have them come fix it, there's no way I'm getting that fucking money back. Like, they're not going to pay me. They're going to be like, oh, you fixed it. Good. Thank you. And then never call me again.
Yeah.
And so at this point, I just calm down and I start talking to the dudes. They're almost done putting the fridge in. And the guy is like, well, there should be a way to turn off the, irrigation system, right? Should have a separate water supply. And I'm like, oh yeah, where would that be? And he's like, I don't know, man. It's your house. And I'm like, trying to stay calm. This is a new house, man. I don't know. Like, do you have any ideas? And he's like, I don't know, man. It's all different. Every house is different. But there should be one. Like, you just got to turn that off and you'll be fine. I'm like, okay, are you going to help me turn that off? And he's like, well, we're almost done with the fridge and then we'll be out of your hair. Like, no. Mm-hmm. So you're going to leave me with no water and a theory about a valve that will fix my problems in the short term. And this dude was not fucking helping. They're doing the fridge and he's like, well, there's definitely a way to do what I'm talking about. You just have to find that. Oh, I'm livid at this point. You can tell because I'm still livid. I wander around. Eventually, I find a magical nozzle under a different spigot in an area I would never have guessed that turns off the water flow to the irrigation system, and we can have water in the house. Problem solved. Right as these guys are almost done with the fridge, I find this, and I come in and I'm like, hey, I think I found the thing. Like, is the fridge hooked up? Can I turn the water onto the house? And he's like, yeah. We're all good. He looked me right in my fucking eyes and was like, see, I told you there'd be a thing. This fucking guy who just ruined my entire morning, damaged my house, damaged an irrigation system that's probably so fucking old they don't even make replacement parts or there's gotta be some dumb shit from this where it's like, oh, we can't fix it. Oh no, well, it's good. We can fix it in like 2 months or something. There's gotta be some fucking fallout from this. These fucking guys, and he looks me in my stupid bright red face and is like, "See, I told you so." In that tone, my fists clenched at my sides. I have never been in a fight. I am not a confrontational person. I am generally polite and cordial with everyone, no matter how much of a dick they are to me. He said that. I didn't say shit. He said that to me. I clenched my fists and my jaw and just went, ugh, and just walked out to the garage and turned the water on. As I'm coming back inside, these dudes are gone. They are gone. I come into the house. I look out the back and the thing is not gushing. And I turn on a sink real quick and it's working. And I'm like, oh my God, you gotta be kidding me. It's fine. So we have water. The thing is, the irrigation is still broken, but it's isolated, so it'll be fine. We'll just get it fixed. It'll be fine. And as I'm standing at the sink in the kitchen, I'm looking out the front, and the dudes are like frantically like tossing their shit in the back of the truck, like tossing the tools, tossing the garbage that they had, the whatever, the clothes in the back, and I'm like, they can't be leaving. Don't I have to sign something saying that I accepted this expensive appliance? They're just gonna leave it? They just fucking eat everything in the truck and get in that motherfucker and speed off. Not another word. They knew what the fuck they did. They were fucking gone, dude.
Yeah.
I don't know if it was my expression and my fist clenching or if they were just planning to do this the whole time. And now, so right before we started this, Manny texted me from the other room and is like, "Hey, water's not coming out of the fridge. Is it supposed to be getting cold? The fridge isn't cold and it doesn't seem to be working." And I just went out there and looked at it and it's not cold. It's been plugged in for like an hour. It's not getting cold. There's no water coming out. I'm hoping there's like a first time setup or some shit that you have to go through and push a certain thing of buttons or something. But like if they set it up incorrectly, if they just stopped what they were doing, they were like, "Fuck, leave, fucking leave, get out of here." I don't know what I'm gonna do. I lose my fucking mind. I'm just gonna start punching things or something because I have rarely felt this angry in my entire life at anything.
If they ran because they knew it was broken and they were afraid.
Oh my God.
Like all the water had somehow short-circuited something in the pump or something like that. Oh my God. Jesus Christ. I'm so sorry.
Do you still not know if your fridge works?
No. When I came back to record this, it was still 80 degrees inside the fridge and the freezer, and no water was coming out, and there was no sign of any reason why that would be happening.
Yeah, everyone listening at home, please understand, this actually happened an hour ago. This is literally...
This all started at 9:30-ish a.m., and it's like it's just after 1 p.m. right now.
Yeah. Oh, my God. There's nothing I love more. And I know it's not pleasant for you, Bob, but there's nothing I love more than indignant rage, Bob.
It's happened like 3 times. Yeah, it takes so much to get me here.
It's so rare, but God, it's beautiful.
Well, the first dudes broke something else, right? The gas line wasn't working?
Yeah, so the first delivery, the fridge got dented. They claimed it wasn't them.
Yeah.
I had no evidence they did it, but it was dented, and they were trying to get me to accept it anyway, and they screwed up the gas line, which was an easy fix. The problem was more than I didn't know that the earthquake shutoff thing even existed. Once I learned what that was, it took me like 5 minutes to fix it. So right now in my backyard, there's a piece of pipe with a relay on top of it laying in the backyard. There's a dirt all over everything on the patio. Like, it's this very first world problem. It'll clean off. I understand that. But like, my whole backyard's a fucking explosion mess right now. And the fucking gall on that dude. Like every step of the way, it was that exact same tone of like, "See, I told you."
Let me check it. Hey, let me measure it.
It sounds like the needs more mud guy all over again, dude. I feel that. Like, I feel that guy. He's the Californian version of, it just needs more mud.
It'll get more mud.
See, man, told you more mud would fix it. How are you, Bob?
I'm all right. You know, during that whole thing, I was sort of sitting here trying to think of what's happened to me recently. Nothing's ever going to live up to the fridge. My life went from being filled with rage about the situation to now every time I do anything and all my social media, it's just 1,000 people constantly being like, "But does your fridge work?"
Well, does it?
Yeah, it's fine.
Is your house covered in water and your yard nothing besides an ocean now?
No, it's back to normal now. It's all fixed.
Are there cables and cords and tubes all over the street still?
Oh, so that wasn't even in the episode. Maybe this is a follow-up thing, because we recorded that before I learned that. So if you didn't listen to the fridge episode, which should precede this one, in the episode I was pissed, and it ended with the pipe in the backyard was broken, my backyard was pretty flooded, and the fridge deliverers were incompetent. After the episode recording, I went outside, and I saw something laying in the street in front of our house, and I was like, oh, that's weird, like trash or something. When you buy a new refrigerator, they make you buy a water connection, like a new water connection hose thing. It's like $50. And Lowe's is like, yeah, you can't buy a fridge without it. So I did. The guys who delivered the fridge left it in the box. And as they were running away, as they were trying to get away from my house that they had just destroyed, terrified because I was glaring at them, they must have been on the truck, and one of them was like, shit, dude, we got the hose. We didn't put the hose in. Fuck, what do we do? We keep it? And the guy's like, no, he bought that. We can't keep that. He might notice. And the other guy's just like, oh, I'm going to throw it. Let's go. And they threw it out the back of the truck, and I found it in the street in the packaging. So I'm not mad about it anymore, but that was a hilarious, like that happened, and I actually started laughing. I went from unbridled rage to like, this is a cartoon, and those guys are incompetent morons. How did this happen?
I imagine they were in such a hurry that one of them jumped in the driver's seat, like was trying to turn the engine to get the vehicle rolling, and the other one hopped in the back and was like, I'm not even gonna get in this chair. And like is trying to slam the big door closed that they pulled the fridge out of, sees the box, just kicks it out, and like slams the door as they take off, screeching and leaving like tread marks on the street.
Yeah, I was going to say that you think they were looking out the window and they saw Bob walking like the Terminator towards them, and it was like, oh god, throw the cable,
go Jim, hit it Jim,
get out of here, and they fucking do a donut.
This is like a rule of the universe. They look, and I swing open the door, and I'm standing like a statue, and they just hear, dun, 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 dun. And they're like, oh shit, god damn it, run, it's the Terminator.
Or freaking Jason emerging from the puddle of water, like you were in there and you step out like dripping water. Like,
I don't know, I can't imagine, but like I must have scared the shit out of those guys. I didn't threaten them or anything. I'm just very large, and I was about as angry as I've been in my entire life.
yeah.
It's kind of impressive, honestly. Thank you, incompetent refrigerator delivery men, for giving me such a funny story to tell.
A great episode of Distractible that everyone seemed to enjoy. They seemed to like it, so that's good.
It was universal. I had people texting me being like, that episode was amazing. If you are listening to this and you haven't listened to Bob's Fridge episode yet, if you're just finding Distractible, stop listening to this one unless it's funnier and go listen to Bob's Fridge for context.
1000%.
Yes.
But alas, we have to move on from the fridge, and hopefully we have a good one in store for you guys. You guys see part 3 of Bob's Fridge animated?
I did.
I did not.
I miss you and Mark emanating from my phone and coming out of things. I missed the perspective changes, but it was still
Part
pretty
3
funny.
is the one where you threw us in. I think it was.
I throw my phone into space, I think, and you guys are maybe on my phone.
Yeah,
Like
we're holding on.
I have no idea what you're talking about.
The claymation animation of the Bob's Fridge story
Never
that we
seen it.
talked about previously on the podcast.
Don't know what you're referring to.
I feel like you do.
You must be referring to some bootleg, unofficial animation that has not been commissioned by the Distractible Council.
No, not commissioned or sanctioned, and they have merch now. I saw today that channel launched. The company delivering the fridge in their animation is called Woes, and they launched some Woes merch.
They've got more than I've
pretty good.
got going on merch wise.
Yeah. I have no idea what you're talking about.
I have no idea what you're talking about.
I'm Sir Walter Underbridge. See you in the next one, guys.